Yeah. How's it going?
Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Welcome to the District 5 meeting. This is our very first District 5 meeting, so I'm so glad that you're here. Make sure to sign in at the back table. If you are an executive board member, there is a little packet here against the wall. It'll have your name on there and you can grab that. That's just some information, a map of the city, the different duties of the officers, the printout of the handbook and the meeting schedule. So for those that are on Zoom, if you can send me, send it to Rachel Green. You're going to send your name and address through the Zoom chat. That is so that when we do our election for chair, vice chair, and secretary, that we know that you live in this district. Kind of how it's going to run tonight is we're going to start off with our election. As soon as the chair is elected, we'll do the chair first. Then the chair takes over running the meeting. And then we'll have the election for vice chair and secretary, and then we'll follow the agenda from there. So let me kind of switch over to where we're at. Hang on. Okay, so are you signed into the, oh, he's getting signed in. Okay, so we're getting the Rachel Green is getting signed in. Just give us a minute. So let me first of all show you, can everyone hear me okay? Yes. So I just wanted to make sure that you know where to find this information. So if you go on the Provo city website, provo.org, and let me kind of bring this up here. So under government, city council, and then here at the bottom, neighborhood district program. So if you click on that, that will take you to this page here. We'll give you all the information about the program. The most important thing is this citywide calendar. Whoops, sorry. You can also go into provo.org and on the search bar, just put citywide calendar and it'll bring you to this. And this will give you information about city council meetings, about the various public hearings and your neighborhood meetings. So today we see neighborhood district 5. If you click on that, it's going to bring up the agenda. Plus it'll give you the information. So the information we're giving you tonight, you can click here and you'll have that same information at home that you can see. So this is probably the most important thing. You can, if you click on a planning commission meeting on the calendar, it's going to show you the planning commission agenda. So it's a good way to know what's going on in Provo. So we're going to start here with District 5. So we're going to start with our elections. And then here are our, first of all, we're going to have our board members come up and introduce themselves. We're going to go in this order. Now these, let me make sure everyone can hear me okay. So these are the executive board members. Those are citizens of Provo who applied to be on the executive board and were appointed by the city council. So out of these members, that's who we're going to vote for our chair, 2 vice chairs, and secretary. The chair runs the meetings and will be our representative at the planning commission and city council meetings. So when they ask for the neighborhood or district report, that's when the chair gets up and gives that report. And so that's primarily what the chair is doing. The chair also has the final say on the agendas. The vice chairs, they just do what the chair does if the chair is unavailable. The secretary takes minutes and helps distribute funds for matching grants. And so those are the kind of the positions, and then the rest of the board, they all have a say in what goes on the agenda. They kind of vote on what you're gonna choose for the matching grants. They kind of make the final decision on that. They kind of work together as a team, representing all these neighborhoods. So we have representatives from all neighborhoods except for East Bay. We didn't have anyone from East Bay that applied. So we have representatives, but as a whole, they're looking out for the district as a whole. So then that way, even though we don't have a representative from East Bay, and in the past few years, we haven't had a representative from East Bay, now as a district, they're filling in the holes and they're representing those areas. So we will start off with our, let's start off with David Harding, and we'll just go down. If you can come up to the microphone, introduce yourself, and just kind of say why you wanted to be a part of the district program.
Thank you. My name is David Harding. I have been a resident of Provo for about 17 years now. I've been a neighborhood chair in the past, and been a few years, but I got some really good healthy neighborhood training. I forget what the title of that training was extremely helpful. And as we implemented that, and as we worked as a neighborhood, I really saw the residents kind of rally together and address some of the difficulties, really develop a stronger identity and as a community, and really work together. And we accomplished some really cool things. I have also seen the neighborhood program not work so well. And so I have mixed feelings with this new program. And so I decided to volunteer and apply to see if there's any way I can help bring forward the best parts of the neighborhood program and help support, this new program to hopefully address some of the shortcomings of the old program. So that's me.
So, okay, thank you. Okay, Shannon. Shannon here? No, Shannon. See Shannon on Zoom. You see?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, so we'll go on to Dylan.
I'm Dylan Sindrich. I have lived in Provo since 2017. I work for a company called Somas. I'm an urban planner by profession, so I've just always really been interested in the development, design of cities. And since moving to Provo, I've really fallen in love with the town and have enjoyed getting involved in some city council meetings and Facebook groups talking about development in Provo. And so I just wanted to be a part of that in a more tangible way, and also get to know the people that live in this central area of Provo as well. Yeah, that's me.
Name's Occone, Franklin neighborhood. My wife and I have lived in the neighborhood in a couple of different spots for the last 4.5 years. Have loved living in the area, and I think that the reason I applied to get involved with this is Terry McCabe pulled my. No, I was kidding. But I am happy to be involved because I feel that my wife and I we've really fought for community in our neighborhood, and I felt like this was a great opportunity to continue doing that on a greater level, to just bring people together. We've been deeply involved with the My Hometown initiative that has seen incredible results in bringing the neighborhood together and making a change for the better in the lives of the residents in our community. So I'm excited to be involved, and I'm excited to be here.
Okay, thank you. Messina, Ava? Is Messina here? I'm not seeing her. Okay, let's go to Quinn.
I'm Quinn Peterson. I have been a resident of Provo since 2009. And I bought a duplex back in 2011 and started renovating it. And as I grew such a love for renovating my home and my space, that really kind of grew out from my property into the community. And I ran a shop on Center Street for 5 years. And in the process of running that shop, I saw a lot of good things and a lot of bad things happening in the downtown. And I got involved by becoming the director of the farmers market. I ran the farmers market for a number of years. Now I'm the chair of the board for the farmers market. And then I became the executive director for Downtown Provo Inc. So my day job for the past 7 years has been running the business alliance in downtown. So we handle policy work, marketing, public art, business advocacy, and so on. So I do a lot of policy work. I'm in this building every single day. And I really appreciate getting involved and influencing good change.
Okay. Now, Laura, I think she might be on Zoom. Laura, are
I'm
you on
here.
Zoom?
I am. I'm here. I'm sorry I couldn't come in
Yeah,
person.
Laura,
I'm
love it. Laura, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Laura, are you there?
Oh, I'm here. I don't know what's going on.
Let me see. Are you on mute, Laura?
No, I am unmuted.
I am not hearing her.
Let's see. Let's see.
Laura, we're not hearing you. Do you want to maybe
We
type
can
in
hear
a little
Laura on our-
introduction and we'll come back to you? Let's see if Leo Lines is also on Zoom. Leo, do you want to see? I want to see if you can speak. I'm wondering if our sound's just not working.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm unmuted. It's not working. It's not working.
Okay, so the sound is working for the people on Zoom, but for some reason it's not coming through to us. I'm not sure what's going on there. Got everything on. Okay, is the speaker there? Let me my seat.
Could they call in, put it on speakerphone?
I was, oh, maybe I'm not. Let me try. Oh. Speaker, it says I'm on the sound. Okay, test.
I'm still unmuted.
Hey, Leo, we got
You
you.
hear it now?
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Can you reintroduce yourself?
Oh, I didn't introduce myself before because it wasn't working, but
Okay.
I'm Leo Lines. I've been a Provo resident for 50 years. I've been a resident of the Joaquin neighborhood for roughly 40 something. And I've been the neighborhood chair twice. I know a lot about the Joaquin neighborhood. I know a lot about Provo. So I'm willing to help any way I can. And I love Provo. Thank you.
Okay. Laura, can we have you introduce yourself again? I apologize. Laura Lovett.
Sure. Yeah. I wanted to come in person. I'm kind of sick. But I grew up in Utah County. I attended BYU for college, and I moved away to New York City to work as a designer. And when myself and my husband decided to move back, we identified downtown Provo as really like the only place in Utah that we wanted to live due to the nature of its walkability. There's just a lot of interesting, unique things about downtown Provo. We've lived here now for 8 years. And I am passionate about helping create a healthy community.
So thank you so much. Okay, do we have Jason Green here? Oh, I think he was going to be out of town. I think he's gone this first meeting, if I remember correctly. Okay, Maria.
My name is Maria Winden. I live in the Mazer neighborhood. I'm originally from Florida, but came out here to go to BYU and ended up staying. So I've been out here in Provo for a little over 40 years. Other than living in apartments when I was at BYU, I've lived in 4 places in the Mazer neighborhood in a 1-block area. And we're not moving again. We're in our forever home until we die. I've been neighborhood chair a couple of times, and I'm currently serving on Provo boards. I've served on some other boards, and I just love Provo, and that's it.
Great. Soraya?
Hi, I'm Soraya Hillam, and we've been here 20 years now right in downtown Provo, across the street from the dental office that my husband actually went to for orthodontist stuff when he was a kid. So he used to be like, oh, those houses are great. We looked for houses that were before 1950 in this area, and they were all right in the downtown area. We really love being here. I really was happy when we moved in here that there were people who were very involved with the neighborhood and that reached out, and there was good communication that happened, and Mazer's had a good history of that. And I've really, really wanted to make sure that the communication happens, whether it's with the format we had before or the format now. I want to make sure that people are able to have their voices heard, and that the city is able to get the good information that they have that doesn't always get out to be able to go to the people. So that's what I care about, and that's why I'm willing to be here as well and want to make sure things go well.
Great. Thank you, Soraya. Did Shannon come in? Oh, there's Shannon.
I'll turn it back on.
Yay, Shannon. You just introduce yourself.
I'm Shannon Bingham. I live in the Temp neighborhood. I'm sorry, I just walked in the door.
I'm sorry, so people are just introducing themselves, just saying a little bit about what they do, how long they lived in Provo, and why you wanted to be involved in the neighborhood district program.
Thanks. So I've lived in Temp neighborhood for over 22 years. And I was neighborhood chair for 4 years, vice chair also. I love Provo. And I started getting involved in what was going on in Provo when we didn't have a neighborhood chair. And it's interesting how I have grown into being very interested in what goes on in our city, and how it's amazing how one person, a group of people, can make such a difference. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, just going to interrupt real quick. Susan, did you have a question? Susan has her hand up on Zoom. No? Susan, did you have a question? No? Okay, I'm just going to lower her. Okay, so we are going
No,
to.
I don't. I'm sorry. I'm traveling to theater because I have a funeral to go to. Sorry. I absolutely bumped it.
Okay, no problem. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started with, let me share this again. Do we have nominations for the chair? Do we have any nominations for chair? Maria, did you have enough?
Yeah, do we just say the name, or do we say why we're nominating?
I think just their name is fine.
If he's willing, Dave Martin.
Dave, do you accept that nomination?
I think I'd rather be vice chair.
Okay, Shannon.
I'll nominate Ryan.
Soraya, do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
Okay. So Soraya, and do we have any other nominations? I think I saw Quinn. Quinn, do you accept the nomination?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so Quinn, any other nominations for David?
If she's willing, I'd like to nominate Maria.
Maria, do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
Okay, do we have, oh, yes, in the back.
You have enough. You have enough. Oh, Marie Brendan was already nominated.
Yeah, sorry, let me kind of highlight these that have been nominated. Okay, so we have. Let me make sure, so we've got. So we've got Maria, we've got Soraya. And we have Quinn. Any other nominations for chair? Yes.
Laura Lovett.
Laura Lovett. Laura, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, and who was nominating Art? Keisha Bowers is nominating Art. Art, do you accept the nomination? Okay. Looks like I've already got you on there. Okay, let's, Laura Levitt, that's one. All right. Okay, let me know if I'm missing anyone that was nominated. Yes. Dave already declined for chair. Okay, do we have any other nominations for chair? And did I miss anyone who was nominated? I know, I was about to say, it's a big group. Okay, are we okay with closing the nominations? Are there any more online? Oh, okay, yeah, looks like they're. Okay, so we're passing around. Oh, let me get, do people need? You want to pass around pens? Okay. Council Chair McKay passed around ballots and Justin Harrison is passing around pens.
You asking for rank choice? No. Well, I was asking for rank. Yeah. Yeah. Something bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm supposed to be writing down.
We're writing down. Yes. So right now you're voting for who you want. So if you on Zoom, do a private message to Rachel and say who you want for chair.
I know, it's like half the people are on this, like whatever.
Perfect, with no multi-calendar links, nice.
Who knows?
I love radio. If the highest bidder doesn't get 100%, I run up to the top. I would second that motion if you want to. Call you. With 5 being nominated, I'd like to make a motion that if the top vote getter doesn't get 50%, that we take the top 2 vote getters and do a runoff.
Okay.
Do people agree?
Seconded. Yeah.
Three of us.
Here. And then there's. There's plenty of ways, this yours or theirs? Yeah.
Yeah, I took some medicine.
Okay, so item number 5. And then count up and then I put on after thing. And then if I don't get putting these in the files, because I have you check the votes before And we usually just do the hash.
It's just really, really bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Are there any? Oh, they're all in there.
Okay, I know. I am not. Yeah, this is all I have, and most of your. Used to be like really the standard for each decade, and then it became mashups of earlier decades. Exactly. Yeah, we've seen that. It looks like it can.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I think it like screws up. Some people like to constantly. That's true. It helps with the invention. She has some. ADHD, always been on this. So. Yeah, she always messing with it, right? She's always.
Okay, we are going, we did not, someone did not get 50% of the vote, so we're gonna have a revote. And the two candidates are Soraya and Laura.
Okay, so just use the paper I gave you then to put the one name that you are interested in.
One day I'll figure out.
Sounds like a lot of cool things have been nice. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It'll be a good word. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay, so this paper will really be for the vice chair when we get there. And we will be highlighting the vice chair when we get there. And they can write 2 names on a piece of paper. Because there's gonna be 2 vice chairs, and we're gonna take the top 2. Okay, my daughter. Rachel always like my friend has moved in the class and feels redemption. This one hurts. Okay, I had some. I think it starts there. I go. Yeah, I would keep all the ones that I know. Okay, your District 5 chair is Laura Levitt. And Laura, I am turning the meeting over to you. So she is on Zoom, so that'll be interesting. Okay, so Laura, we're gonna go ahead and do the votes for vice chair. And we usually do work, since there's 2 vice chairs, each person votes for 2. Is that okay with you?
Sounds good.
Okay, Laura says it sounds good. Okay, do we have nominations for vice chair?
I nominate David Hardy.
David Harding. David Harding, do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, do we have other nominations for vice chair? Yes.
I nominate Soraya Hillum.
Soraya, do you accept?
Sure.
Okay, and other nominations in the front?
I nominate Gwen Peterson.
Quinn Pearson, do you accept?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shannon Bingham.
Shannon, do you accept?
I do.
Okay,
One more back here.
Oh, okay.
Gina?
Oh, Messina Ava? I don't think she's at the meeting. Should we stick her on there anyway? Laura, what do you think? She's not here to accept.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Laura, we had a nomination for Messina Ava. She is not here to accept the nomination. Do you want to go ahead and have her be nominated?
Oh my gosh, that's a tricky question. May I'm like, maybe not, because if she won, it would be complicated.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
might not want to.
Because we would like have to, if she didn't accept, we would have to like do the whole thing over again. So maybe
Yeah,
no.
Okay. Sarah says no. What were there other nominations? Yes.
Arthur.
Art, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do we have any online?
Yep, we're Dylan.
Okay, we've got one for Dylan. Dylan, do you accept?
Yeah.
Okay. Dylan for
Can,
vice
can I
chair.
can I go back? I just had someone message me that Messina let somebody else know that she was interested in being a vice chair. So it
She
seems
is
maybe
interested? Okay,
that, yeah, I just had somebody message that to me. So
awesome. Thank you, Laura.
I think that's good. I think that's good. No.
Leo Lawrence, do you accept the nomination for vice chair? I spoke to Leo on the phone earlier today. He said he would be open to vice chair. So I'm gonna put him down. Okay, is that, I
Yeah.
know I was going to say that's just about everyone.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Hey, Laura, are you okay to close the nominations?
I'm sorry, you cut out for just a moment.
Are you okay to close the nominations?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna close the nominations. And so you should all have a ballot and you're gonna vote for two. And do you want just the top two to get it for vice chair? Or do you want to do like a 50% runoff? How do you want to do that, Laura?
Let's do a runoff. So, yeah, so we'll vote for the top two.
Top four and then do a runoff.
Top four? Should we do top four and then a runoff?
Have a runoff?
Does that work?
I hope I have enough paper.
Top three.
Okay, so right now you're writing down your top two names on the paper. Okay. Becky Diamond, yes, you can vote if you are online. And Becky Diamond, this is Rachel Breen. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great job. The overlap. Yeah.
Great. Everyone have a paper?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe the hardest. Yeah, yeah. No, it is. Yeah. Or you.
And Laura, you wanted the top 4 to have a runoff, is that correct?
That's what I was thinking, yes.
We stop the vote. Okay, so we're going to, for those on Zoom, we're gonna stop the vote on this. Okay, so on our runoff, we have David, Art, Quinn, and Soraya. Let me pick these other ones up. I forgot what my notes say.
This going around, we're also voting top 2, is that right?
Correct, top 2, right, Laura?
Correct.
Okay, so we have David Harding, Art Occone, Quinn Peterson, and Soraya Hillen.
6 years. Yeah.
I think we started the vote at 7:15. I'll start doing these.
Take the longest.
Okay, so our District 5 vice chairs are Dave Harding and Art Occone. Is it Occone? Occone? Occone, Art Occone, thank you. Yay. Okay, so now we are going to open up nominations for secretary. Do we have any nominations for secretary?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes,
Generally, secretary is a rather demanding position, which often does not get the energy that it ought to have. Is there anybody in this group that would like to serve as secretary and feels like they have the energy and the time to do it right?
right. So the secretary will be taking minutes at these meetings, and that includes taking roll of all the executive board members. And then they kind of type up those minutes and email them to me. And then if we do have a matching grant program, the secretary helps, me and the secretary work together in divvying out funds for that. So,
My question was,
yeah.
is there anybody in this group who would like to serve as secretary and feels like they have the time and the energy to do it well?
Right. Is there?
I would like to nominate someone, assuming that she's willing to accept and, but with her many years of PTA secretary experience, I think Soraya would be an awesome secretary. If she feels like she has the time and energy that she could.
I'm okay with it.
So Soraya's okay with that. Is there anyone else? Okay, so Laura, right now we have a nomination for Soraya. I'm not seeing any other nominations. Are there nominations? Oh, we have nominations online.
One for Dylan.
We have a nomination for Dylan, if Dylan accepts. Dylan.
Honesty is good.
Okay, Laura, did you want to close the nominations?
Let's close them.
Okay. So, Soraya, here's a little notepad. The matching grant, effective for future records. Okay, thank you everyone for the election process. Let me get out of here. Where's my notes? Okay, there we are. Sorry about that. Okay. So Laura, did you want to head up the rest of the meeting? Can you see the agenda okay?
Yes, I can see the agenda. So we're to public commentary.
Okay, so right now we have a public comment. If someone would like to come up with public comment, we've got the microphone here. Soraya, if you'll take notes. Usually the public comment is if there's a topic that you would like to have at future meetings. So that way the board knows what to put on future agendas. And so if there's anyone that would like to come up with public comment.
It's not really a comment, but a question. In past meetings that we've had in Mazer, the COP usually couldn't stay for the whole meeting. He needed to get out quicker. And so we usually have the COP report right near the beginning. And so is that something we need to take into consideration?
No, I've already planned on.
Yeah, they know the elections. But no, that's
future meetings.
because for future meetings, the agenda is set by the executive board. You can do the agenda however the executive board decides to do it. So if that's something you want that to be number
Just
one,
wondering,
that would be great.
just taking into account.
For the future, it'd be great. It's not too great. Suggestion for the next meeting, perhaps, is it would be nice to meet with the new chief of police while he's still new. when he resigns.
That is a great idea. Soraya, do you have that down for a future
Yes.
meeting? I love that idea. That's a great idea. Does anyone? Oh,
Is this organization somehow involved with the city across the hall? The council,
oh, the city council?
is there any relationship to this organization and the city council in terms of information or governance or anything? Because it's very obvious there's not a lot of city council people here today.
The chair and vice chair are here. If they can stand up and maybe introduce themselves.
Chair actually.
Oh,
Where do you sneak in?
I was behind you. Yeah, so Catrice is the chair of the council. She was here until literally 2 minutes ago. And I arrived about 10 minutes late. But I'm here, and because I'm a member of the district, I got to vote too, so it's kind of fun.
My Sharon show up next time too.
okay.
Thanks.
Are there any other public comments? Okay, Laura, I'm not seeing any other public comments. If you want to go to the next.
Yeah, so up next is the cop update from Officer Brian Wortman.
All right, how's everybody doing? I'm not a big fan of microphones, so if you can't hear me, let me know and I'll talk a little louder. My name's Brian Wortman. I've been with Provo Police for about 5.5 years now. Before this, I did the Marine Corps, born and raised in Virginia, came out here and loved Provo, so this is where I was at. So with the, I'll get with the, well, the chair's not here. I'll get with one of the vice chairs, give you all my information. So I've worked in the past a lot with Quinn. Couple things that is one of the biggest things that we just learned recently. If for some reason you see something in your neighborhood or in your area, let the police know. If it's an emergency, obviously call 911. If it's not an emergency, reach out to me, reach out to the police. We had an incident where the police was working on a certain individual that was tagging along a building, and one of the city members actually had a video of that individual doing it. Once we figured it out, I got the videos and I was able to send that out to the school resource officers, and we were able to figure out who it was within like 10 minutes. So if you see something, hear something that to you it might not be a big deal, it could be something that isn't really that hard to figure out. You're the missing puzzle piece. I'm over District 2 also. We had a meeting, and their biggest complaint was speeders on Slate Canyon. I was able to get a speed trailer set up, and we got the numbers back on that after a 10-day of getting the average speed result. Yep. So if you
speed,
where at?
heroin.
That is a problem. I'm low. But yeah, if you see an issue, that's the whole. I work in the COP division, so I'm a police officer, but I don't necessarily take calls during the day. Ours is set up a little bit different. I know there's 5 districts with this new program. We're divided up into 3 districts, so I'm over my District 2, which would be District 2 and 5 of the new one. And then there's another officer over different districts, and we have a sergeant over us. So we work on the long-term problems. So the police, when you call them for help, they'll do a quick solution, but anything that's long-term, it gets kicked over to our house. Yes.
Can you define what COP is?
It's community oriented policing. It's kind of a fun, my family, like, what do you do? I work for COP. So you're like, oh, like, we knew that. But yeah, it actually stands for community oriented policing. So yeah, if you have any issues, I'll get my contact information to one of the vice chairs that's here, or secretary, and then that way you can keep me in the loop. I know in District 2, we kind of have like a little group email. So whenever, and I think Rachel's involved in it too. Whenever we email each other back and forth, that way everybody is on board. Is there any questions on my end? Yes.
I have some feedback for you.
Okay,
In the last couple of years, I have had occasion, maybe every couple of months, to need some homeless, we'll call it homeless control. And I have found that we're to be really responsive, very prompt, very polite, very willing. It's been a great experience. I have not had any poor experience with your officers responding to our particular meetings. Good job.
I appreciate that.
Please pass that along.
I sure will. I appreciate that. I know with, in the city, that's kind of a touchy subject, you know, it's a subject that keeps getting brought up. And we are aware of them. We also attend, Quinn's downtown meeting once a month and, which is with the business owners of downtown. And I know it gets brought up a lot.
It's a tough problem.
It is.
Darn if you do, darn if you don't.
Exactly. So I appreciate that. I will pass it on. Yes.
It seems like certain types of crimes, you know, there's an ebb and flow, and I was just wondering if there's any particular type of crime, you know, vehicle break-ins or anything like that, that seems to be affecting any of the neighborhoods in our district lately.
So probably the biggest crime, which I don't know if we'll ever get rid of it, mainly because we have one of the largest campuses in our city. And people come from all over the world, where some places you can leave your house unlocked, your car unlocked, everything unlocked, and you know everything will be there tomorrow. Unfortunately, in the city we live in, is great if your doors are locked, but a lot of times they're not. So we call them targets of opportunity. Like, I can show you countless videos of like parking garages where an individual get in underneath the parking garage and they'll just go through and check door handles on cars. If they're locked, they go to the next one. If it's unlocked, they'll rummage through it, get what they want, and go to the next one. So vehicle burgs is kind of on the high right now, along with bicycle thefts. Which bicycle thefts, it picks up a lot more in the summertime, but it doesn't necessarily die down in the winter either. I personally am over this bike project that we're working on. We've been working on it for about a year. So I get a report every day of what bikes were stolen and which ones weren't, which ones were locked, which ones weren't. And then we try and track them down, checking pawn databases, KSL, Facebook Marketplace, all this stuff. We try and track down the bikes, and then we have some bikes also that there are bikes that we set out so that they get stolen and we can track them down and see if we can recover everybody. But I would say vehicle burgs and bicycle thefts. But most of those, over half of them, they're not secure. So I know that the city is invested a lot of time into the hide, lock, keep and stuff. You see a lot of signs in Lower Campus and other places too. But that is huge. Hide your valuables, lock your doors, and then you'll usually keep your stuff if it goes. Yes.
You know, I read about crimes from Provo. They say Provo resident, big crime, you know, whatever it is. But there isn't any easy way to find out where these people live. And I think as neighbors, we have the right to know that. It's public information, but we have to dig down through the toilet to get to it. Yeah. Is there a way to make that a little more accessible to the residents who live in this area? And I'm not suggesting this is the area where the crime is.
Right.
Except it is.
Right. No, I know what you mean. There is a way, but you also have they're innocent until proven guilty. And obviously names have to be protected and stuff like that. But as far as the like crime stats, is that what you're meaning? Like throughout the city?
If they're guilty, whether it's been before or not.
Right.
But at least in the paper, by the time it hits the newspaper, we're not talking about innocent. We're talking about, you know, somebody got shot and killed or
Right.
raped or whatever.
Yep.
This is the newspaper reporting.
Yep.
So they're not innocent in the paper.
Right.
But we don't know where that is. It used to be in the Provo Herald. They tell you where they live.
Yeah. I know with what we're gonna be doing is once a month when I get a crime stat for each district. And right now, like I was saying, on our end, there's 3 districts. On this end, there's 5. So they're still working out how everything is, I guess, in the analysis side of things. And then I plan on sending it in an email to the chair, vice chairs, and all that. And then they can, I'm sure they'll have their own email group with everybody. They can send it out. And it'll be broken down to It may not give the actual address, but it'll say in this city block, we had, 4 bikes stolen, 1 bike stolen. We had 2 vehicle burglaries, we had whatever the crime is. So we can do that, and then, but like I said, it won't have names, probably won't have addresses, it'll just give you a general area.
So we need to do that on our own if we want it.
Right, if
Maybe I'll do that.
yeah, so you can go front counter and do what they call a grandma request. So if you know that the cops are at your neighbor's house and the neighbor won't tell you why, you can go and do this request and they'll give you the very basics of the crime. Like I said, it's not gonna give you the details of it, but it'll give you the basics of it.
How much does that request cost?
I want to say free or only a couple dollars. Yeah, it's not, yeah,
It depends,
yeah.
depends on how much time staff time it takes. Yes.
Any other questions? Yes.
Brian, my impression is the little plastic lawn signs for private businesses that get stuck up along the roadway, bookkeeping services and sign up for soccer and yada, yada, yada. My impression is that those are illegal. Is that the case? And if so, what's the appropriate way for a resident or a citizen to deal with this? Is it okay if they irritate me, is it okay for me to pick it up out of the ground and throw it in the dumpster?
If it's considered abandoned property, yes. If it's in somebody's front porch, obviously it's a whole different thing. But you can call in and say, hey, my neighbors had, vote for Rachel Whipple for city council in their yard ever since they got it. It's like, okay, they're not voting anymore. That was a while ago, and they won't take the sign. So you can go about that way, but yeah, if it's abandoned property, it's abandoned.
Mine has to do with exactly that. I watched some guy attach those sports signs onto a yield sign next to Franklin Elementary School. And I took a picture of it, but I haven't sent it in to read it one yet.
Okay. Yeah, and I know which, I'll let you go because you're probably gonna do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there is a zoning enforcement team that does take care of this. The rules are pretty cut and dry. If the sign is between the sidewalk and the curb, it's always illegal. So that is the easement property. So you cannot use that to endorse political candidates or businesses because that is not private property. If it's on the private property side of the sidewalk, that is totally up to the property owner. There's nothing you can do. There are some areas where everyone puts their signs up on like fences because it's like government property, but nobody pays attention. So those are tricky. But the biggest violation, so I do this almost every day because I run the Downtown Alliance, is I pull them out of the median here on Center because those are always illegal. The only case where those are illegal is if we are announcing a neighborhood meeting. There are a couple other exceptions, but they're extremely rare. Anything between a sidewalk and a curb is illegal, and any other thing like a median is illegal.
Anything from the city announcing a change in the law or zone or attitude, whether they're all legal.
Yeah, if it's an official neighborhood meeting notice or something of that nature, it's all right, but it can't be endorsing any business or political candidate.
And I know, like with the Downtown Alliance, what they've done also, it used to be like all the power boxes, telephone boxes, all that stuff would either get graffitied or people would take their flyers on it. And I know they've been doing that, is it once a month?
Yeah, once a month, we're wrapping those boxes with new vinyl art. We've done 2 so far, but we have the funding and we just finished approving 6 more. So we have 28 boxes that we're going to wrap in the next few years that's lined up with funding, and we hope to continue after that.
So if you see them, I think was the center in the ad has been done.
Yeah, Center University, we just did one on the southeast corner, and then we just did one out here in front of Esplin, Wait, and the B&H Pharmacy as well.
Well, there's going to have a kiosk sort of things down the
You
street.
still have
here
those. There's 7 of them.
where You could put whatever on it, at least tell them it's church time.
And we noticed, that it works great. We noticed a lot of the bike trails and walking trails that have the little tunnels. Like over by Paul Reams Park and stuff. We noticed that there was just a prime spot for graffiti. So they came up with the idea like, hey, let's get some artists out here and for some reason, I guess there's a method behind the madness, but typically a graffiti person will not tag over a piece of art or something. So I mean, I think with those, the wraps that they're doing on electrical boxes, they look nicer and hopefully we'll cut down on that along with the flyers. So. Any other questions?
Where do we report graffiti? Is there an easy way to do that? Like, it'd be nice if you could just use a phone that has the location on it, so it tells you immediately.
Yeah, you can do it through 311.
Okay.
Graffiti and like abandoned cars or that you think are abandoned. So you can do it on there. And then if it's dealing with a car, then parking enforcement will go out and they'll do their thing. And then once they cannot do anymore, then it gets sent to my office. Graffiti will automatically get sent to my office. And then we have, it's a group called TAG, which is Teens Against Graffiti. Once we get it, we send it out to them, and then summer months are they're a little bit faster than winter months. We send out to them, and usually within a couple of days, they'll go out and remove it and or paint over it if it needs to be painted, if it just can't be removed. Yes.
Just kind of mentioning that 311 is both the phone number that you can call and you can talk to someone, but there's also the online 311 where you can upload pictures and the location and whatnot. It's pretty convenient.
Yeah. And with the graffiti, it does have a little section where you need to upload pictures and of a abandoned car too. It just helps us out if your address might not be exactly right, or if it's graffiti on a walking trail. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to say it's this address.
Right.
So that way it kind of lets us know what we're looking for, because we still go out, because we have stuff, if we can remove it, we'll just remove it right then and there. But if the stuff that we have doesn't work, then we send it to TAG. And that way they have pictures too. Yes.
Just put a clarification, is the 311 connected with the police, or is that more like city enforcement of like ordinance violations and things like that? Or
It's more city, but issues that like abandoned cars, the city cannot impound the abandoned car. They cannot get owner information. So once they've done their tickets and then they put the orange sticker on it, and they've marked the tires. If the car has not been moved, then they send it over to us. Graffiti, stuff like that will get sent to us.
Do they call the owner if they have a license plate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we
No, they don't necessarily. I just thought I'd mention that.
okay, usually I know every case that I've done since I've been in COP, we try and track down the owner because it's a lot less headache than getting it impounded.
so anything safety related, or maybe low level,
Something that's not,
low level theft, you know, things from your porch or things from your yard, like, you know, things that you wouldn't want inside, you go to 311. Or they don't even.
no, if it's something criminal, just, you can call the police non-emergency number. If it's something, obviously, if it's something emergency, then call
Do
911.
you do anything about respectful property? We've had issues at our property with things getting stolen off the porch, or even
Yep.
like flowers from the yard and things
Yep.
like that.
Yep. And one of the biggest things is, right, recently is those Ring doorbells. People think they're so, you know, it's just for me to see who's ringing my doorbell, but I cannot tell you how many crimes those things would solve. Like, you'd be surprised. And even if you don't have one, the neighbor across the street or beside you, or somebody has one, and it usually helps quite a bit, so. They're a great investment, cheap investment too. Any other questions? All right, well, have a good evening.
Hey, Laura, did you want to go ahead and go on to the Provo School District update?
Yes, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Gina Hales. I've lived in Provo for 47 years, mostly in the Dixon neighborhood, which is where I currently live. We have been here a long time, so I'm going to speed through this, and unless you have questions, we're going to be done, because I don't want to get between you in your bed, or you in your home, or you in your whatever it is you want to be with. So let's go to the next slide. All right, so one of the biggest things we're doing right now is we're hiring a new superintendent. We hope to have that done, as you can see there, by about May 1st of this year. What we've done so far is we did a scientific survey. So we hired a company to come in and do a survey and give us the information. We just got that information last night, and I'll give you a few of those results in just a second. We also had 4 community outreach meetings, 3 for community members and 1 for the staff, just to get feedback on what they want to see in a superintendent, if we're going the right direction as a district. We just wanted all of that. and that included both staff and community. Our next steps are, we're gonna have our applications out, I believe next week, is that right? We have 2 other members of the board are here. And then we'll have a citizens committee, which means that we'll have citizens, you guys will come in and, well, a handful of you guys will come in and read the applications and rank order them, and then we'll take that into consideration when we go through the applications ourselves. Interviews will be in sometime in April of this year, and then hopefully hire them May 1st. Yes.
Do you want questions during your?
Sure,
after?
as long as nobody tries to fill into me afterwards, because I could just.
How is the citizens committee chosen?
You, so what you need to do is contact, if you would like to participate, contact your chairperson or any of us actually, and we can put you on a list. So each member of the board gets 2 solid picks. So I make sure that I pick 2 people from within my district, but then I'm able to make other suggestions, and then board leadership will pick from those to try and have a well-rounded group. So if you would like to participate, contact either Carrie or myself.
Or I can suggest people as
Yes,
well.
you can suggest people, but you should probably make sure that they're okay with it before you suggest them. So I've been doing a lot of that today. Okay, next. So here are some of the results of the survey. Top priority for, and this was both community and staff, was student success and teacher salaries. We are below our neighboring districts for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to get into here, but we're trying to catch up because we hemorrhage teachers to other districts pretty quickly. Most important qualities that everybody's looking for: moral character, leadership skills, effective communication, and an understanding of our unique community. Staff and residents want more transparency, better communication, and really good listening skills from the new superintendent. And this was an interesting one. Is the district going in the right direction? 60% of the staff said yes. 49% of the residents don't know, which means we have a messaging problem. And 35% of the residents said yes. So we are going to work really hard on our messaging. I am open to suggestions on how to get that information out. I have social media pages. I send out newsletters. Nobody MailChimp tells me that nobody opens my newsletters and nobody comments on my social media. So if there's a better way for them to get a hold of you and you want that information, let us know how we can do that, because we really do want to be transparent. Yes.
I open yours.
So she's one of the 3. 3 of the 25. I only have 25 people on my list. So thank you for opening them. Anything else on that? Okay. So these are things that we've discussed recently or that we are working on. Start times for high school. They're really early. We as a board would love to move them later, but there are so many moving pieces. It's either going to cost a lot of money, or we'll have kindergartners walking to school in the dark during the winter, or I would like to utilize public transportation, but public transportation does not go to one of our high schools. So there's a lot of things that go into this. Please know that we do not take joy in your high school children going to school at 7 o'clock in the morning. We would like to fix it. We don't know how. We need your input. So we'll be reaching out to get more input. We just added student reps to the school board, 2 student reps. They're non-voting. They did all the work, the legwork. I am the school board member who's going to be over them. I work directly with them, but they're going to come to the meetings, and they're not going to vote, but they'll be able to have some, to be part of the conversations that we have on the school board. So we're pretty excited about that. School fees, we're required to have 2 public input meetings where you can come and give us feedback about school fees. Last month was one, and then in March will be another. So you have one more chance for public input. And another thing that we're looking at is small schools, which is defined as 400 students or less. And then school boundaries. And this is something that we don't have to have the conversation now, but if we value, so big schools, cheaper to run. Outcomes, maybe not as good. So I feel like we've had a really strong, we want neighborhood schools in Provo, but it is more expensive to run. And we also then have to make sure that we're attending all the schools. Otherwise we're going to show, because if we build a 900 people elementary school over here, and then there's this elementary school over here that everybody's going to instead, it throws off the balance. So we're going to have more conversations about, do we want smaller schools and neighborhood schools that are within walking distance of our kids mostly, or do we want to move to the mega school model? So that's going to be a conversation that's upcoming. And then here's more upcoming things. So these are on the agenda for the next 2 meetings, which are right there. I put when those are. The Dixon site, I knew that would be a big deal here because this is our neighborhood, and so we got it on the agenda. And so we're not making a decision on what's gonna happen there. We're gonna talk about what the process is. If you have any, I should have put my email on here. If you have any suggestions on how you would like to participate in that, please let me know. I would love to hear from the people of Provo, what things they'd like to see there and what the process should look like. We've had a lot of feedback about these Chromebooks. Our kids are on Chromebooks too much. It's interesting because it's like, they need to be on, we need to be using technology. No, we don't. Let's throw it out the window. So we got to figure it out. What is a good balance with that? We're restructuring committees so that we will be more effective. Hopefully, we'll be more effective once we restructure committees, and then we're updating policies and procedures. And thank you. Any questions? March 16th. Oh, that's right. So March 16th, Terry, go ahead. Terry is over.
March 16th at the District 3, right? Yes.
That sounds right, yeah.
We will be discussing shoreline. That's one of you want information about it, go to the District 3 neighborhood meeting on March 16th.
If you're interested in the updates on the new middle school that's being built out in North Provo. You have a minute?
Yeah, where can I find your email?
You can, I'll tell you what it is. I should have put it on now. I was like, Gina, Gina H at provo.edu. And and Meg's right next to you. She knows what it is. You can write it down. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Okay, Laura, if it's okay with you, we'll have Art do a quick announcement about the days of service that's coming up for the Franklin and Franklin South neighborhoods.
Excellent.
So if you don't know what the My Hometown initiative is, I'd love to talk to you afterwards, but the main announcement is that the next day of service, which is going to be focusing on the space between 500 5th and 7th West and like Center Street down to about 900 South, is the area that we're working on the 18th of March. We will be meeting at 8 a.m. at the Franklin, the church building that is in just like central of the Franklin neighborhood. But we'll get more detailed information out later, but March 18th, 8 a.m. There's plenty of projects that are happening, everything from trees coming down to fences being fixed, brick being put up. It's a lot of things that are happening, so it's exciting.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Laura, if it's okay, we'll have Tate Murphey present his project. This is a land use item. It's a zone map amendment. And we also have Aaron Ardmore here, who is a city planner, if people have questions about Provo City Code. Let's see, I think he
Great.
might be. Oh, there you are. Okay. I wasn't sure if you were online or not. Let me bring up your project here.
Try to go through it somewhat quickly for time's sake. So, I mean, me and my wife have lived in the Dixon neighborhood now for 4.5 years. In our current house for 2 years. This is where we live. We absolutely love it. I mean, my wife says we can never leave here because of all of her friends. With that being said, we live on a very big yard. Almost all of our friends are in this neighborhood. Rent because you can't afford anything anywhere. And so last year I went and got approved for one lot in the back, which would work. I mean, the issue there is, number one, it doesn't provide that much affordable housing because you have to put in all the infrastructure for just one lot, which costs a lot. So there was another lot similar to this that got approved a few months back. And so I went through and thought, hey, what if we could add more, bring down the cost and actually make something affordable that people can actually live in the neighborhood with. So with that being said, you can kind of, it's from an R16 to LER zone. It's a half an acre lot right now. You can go to the next one. So here's kind of the concept plan. It would be behind our existing home to put 3 additional homes. Each one would have an ADU. And the reason I wanted to add an ADU in them is so they're actually owner occupied units. I mean, rather than almost every neighborhood almost every home in our neighborhood right now, when it sells, it just goes to a rental. So that way it's actually like forcing people to stay there. They're efficient ADUs. that are, I think, very responsible sized units, but also help with the income factor. I mean, people could actually afford these homes with the ADU supplemental income, which I think is always a positive thing. Go to the next one. So there's the site. Sorry, I should have said that. It's on 500 North. So Dixon Middle School is like right over here to kind of get some context. You can go to the next one. There's the neighborhood. Next one. Here's the landscaping plan. So it has a pretty decent sized backyard, and then a yard here for this one, and then this yard is the front, and then a little bit in the back as well. So next one. That's just another site plan. Here's kind of the tabulation. This zone would allow for 12 units. I am requesting 8.7, and then I'm assuming there'll be a development agreement to lock that in. So if like everything burnt down, you couldn't go build like a big townhome project or something, right? There's a way to make it so that that's exactly what you have to build. So, and the next one, here are just some renderings of it. It's currently a red house. We contemplated painting it white. If we were to do this, we would paint it to match the rest of it so that it was a cohesive development with the neighborhood. You can flip through.
So is it one driveway to get to those three in the back?
Yeah, so it's a 16-foot one so that it can go two-way traffic going in and out. And then next, and then here are the floor plans for each of the homes as well. And then the second homes, they have that contour for power lines and making sure everything code-wise fits in. Sorry, that was a lot quick, but I know for time's sake. This is kind of the plan.
How many square feet does the main unit have, and then how many square feet in the ADU?
That's a great question. So the main ones are going to be between 1,600 and 2,000, and then the ADUs are closer to like 800. 700 to 800. So they're one bedroom.
Is attached?
It's in the basement.
It's in the basement.
So what sort of feedback are you looking for? This sounds awesome.
I mean, just kind of seeing what people, what feedback there's put.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. This is a good accessible. So basically, if you're looking to build these, because they're ADUs, they would need to be sold and the owners would live in them.
It wouldn't make sense for me to build them and then keep it because I wouldn't.
Sure, so you can't rent them.
Yeah,
right.
That's kind of why I wanted to force the ADUs in, is so that people had to live.
And I just wanted to clarify that for everyone else in the room, that's what ADU means versus a duplex, is that it's an accessory dwelling unit, means an owner occupied has to be in one of the two units.
Thanks for the question.
Is property being subdivided for each unit?
So it will be a HOA. So each homeowner will own their lot with like a tiny backyard, and then there'll be common area that'll be shared.
So that's 6 new units.
So technically, I think code-wise, it would be 3 new units with the ADUs, because those aren't, to Quinn's point, those aren't units because it has to be owner occupied.
So it's 9 cars.
Yeah, so there's 16 parking stalls throughout. So everything sits, unless people have an exorbitant amount of cars, everything should sit on the site.
Where's the garbage can?
That's
not a small issue.
No,
Because you have to pull in with a big truck.
Yeah, they'll most likely be just rolled to the curb, just normal city garbage cans that people will have on their site. Dave?
Just wondering what is the outcome that, I'm not asking this correctly, but are we gonna vote as a district board? Is that what's intended by the end of this? Or are we just listening and then we can give feedback to whomever? What is?
So this is he's asking for a zone change. And zone changes have to go to neighborhood meetings, and they present, you ask questions, and at the end, we do an opinion poll, which the secretary will keep as part of her minutes. And the opinion poll is usually, do you like the project? Do you not like the project? What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? So then that information can be taken to the planning commission and the city council to help them make their decision on the zone change.
I have a question. So this house in the front, does it also have an ADU?
Yeah, so that side,
Okay, existing or proposed?
proposed.
All right, so that's where the 16 parking spaces.
Yeah, so then they're tandem stalls, right? So they go front and back, and then the covered stalls in the front, and then yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but I should have drawn lines in, so that those are all tandem. stalls.
They're tandem, okay, all right.
That was the only way to fit them on the site, was by handling them tandem, which code allows. You have to, there's a few things.
So the fire department is okay with that? I don't know what they're.
Yeah, there was a fire department review with, and they didn't have any comments on it. So, because I mean, you can pull in, the radius has to be so the fire trucks can reach everything, but.
Used to be they had like a minimum distance for access, like.
I think there's something, and probably Aaron can speak to this better than me. I think there's something with like where the fire hydrant has to be to the site, or I don't know, or.
I was thinking the width on the driveway.
So the 16 feet, and then the surface has to be like a certain grade, but Aaron, you could talk better than that than I can.
So just to let everybody know kind of where this is at, this project is still under staff review. It's still going through what we call the coordinator review committee, which is staff representatives from different divisions. It's still going through that. Fire is one of those, and fire is working through access concerns right now. So that will hopefully be addressed as we go through revised plans. I know you just submitted a new revised set that's currently under review. That's hopefully going to address some of the previous comments. So yes, fire access is a concern, and the fire marshal will be reviewing this new set of plans to see if that's been met.
Bailing me out.
I'm not sure who here can answer this question. I suspect it's not you, but I'd like to ask the question anyway. In this process, what does Provo City has that requires some reasonable level of architectural quality? It seems like in just about any community, and certainly in Provo, kind of a lot of little cracker boxes get built, and that's not a reflection on this illustration. I understand that's conceptual what I'm seeing, but what is there in the community that helps to elevate the architectural element of new homes that are built so that 10 or 15 years from now, we're not looking at a really ugly little cracker box?
These two smart guys answer.
Yeah, so I'm actually the chair of the design review committee for the city. And so we are a citizens committee that evaluates architectural renderings for everything that gets built. Most neighborhoods and zones have a design standard, talks about building materials and other elements like that. So for example, there was a piece in the gateway that did not have a design standard, and our committee saw a project that was 100% stucco. We thought that was alarming because it's the first thing you see when you enter the city. So I filed as the downtown neighborhood chair. We created a design standard so that stucco is a secondary material, has to be less than 20%. Most neighborhoods have something like that already in place. We can look up to see what they are, but there is a design review committee that makes recommendations to the planning commission. And there's also in code in most neighborhoods, limitations on building materials and types that they match the neighborhood.
So is that design review on a neighborhood by neighborhood basis or citywide?
The design review committee is the entire city. Yeah.
So I appreciate you went through your presentation quickly. I appreciate it. You're trying to be respectful of our time. I noticed a lot of things as you flipped through. I thought there was a lot of good information that you hopped over.
Learn something from Gina.
Generally, I am supportive of the city moving in this direction of what we have here. I do have concerns about process. So like my concerns are, we're kind of being asked for our opinion with fairly limited context. And this isn't, your presentation actually has more than I was expecting, but what is the plan for this area? We have a general plan. The general plan has some key land use policies for both the central area as well as specifically for Dixon. But I don't imagine many people here know what those are. because this is our first meeting and also those were written probably 20 years ago. Aaron knows that when I was on the council, I was pushing for a greater budget for his department because they're creating master plans, which I believe we're going to be hearing about the downtown master plan as the next item. Dixon never made it onto the list of ones that we're going to get done. So I think we're like quarter of the way through the city or something, a third of the way through the city. And so Mazer has theirs, Franklin has theirs. Is Mazer or is it Joaquin?
Mazer has one from 20 years ago.
From, okay, so Mazer.
No.
Downtown does, but Dixon doesn't. And so right now, I would say that this is not supported by what's in the general plan. Admittedly, it's very old though. So I like this proposal, but I feel like we need to do a little bit more outreach to the neighbors. As well as I would love to see some planning. So, I mean, this is going to be there for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. And, we haven't had a community conversation about what we want to do with, this is probably the only large lot on this block, but there's other blocks that have large lots like this. What do we want to see as a community? And we haven't had that discussion. So that's where I'm struggling with being asked to weigh in on this. Because again, I generally support this, but I would like to see us have that community conversation before we move forward on something that's going to be there a very long time.
I just want to add, I don't want the lacking framework or dialogue or conversation that's being referenced to prevent good projects from happening. I do think that's a piece that's missing, but I don't think we should say everything's on hold until this is done. I think that would be a poor choice.
I agree with what has been said, as far as the basic concept, I think that this is moving in a good direction for this piece of land, for this property. But there were questions that I had that I thought that it would take too much time for this venue to discuss, to talk about. And so, I'm glad Dave said what he said, because, as in broad strokes, yes, I think this is a great idea and, for this piece of property, but there were, just looking at your concept idea, there were things that just probably nitpicky questions that I had. And so, yeah, I'd like to talk more in detail about this. But overall, I approve. I'm not that you need my approval, but I think
To
it's
get
a
into the
great
nitty-gritty.
but I think it's a good idea, but there were things that I had more specific questions on.
I know something we've done for years ago in Mazer, and what we would have was like minutes of the meeting, and we'd ask people to send back comments. And when I was chair or vice chair, because that happened a lot of times, that we would use the comments when I actually did go to the city council to give feedback, or whichever board was going to get feedback. I would be including the feedback that had come in via email, where people who weren't able to be at the meeting to do that. If we had information on those that we're attaching to the minutes that are going out, then people can be able to put back suggestions, and then that way you have a fuller group, and people can have time to be able to look at it in more detail and stuff when we're not all sitting in one meeting. And because I also appreciate the amount of detail you have, and that it's being balanced with your wanting to have time, especially if you're dealing with small children. I understand that.
So I support the rezone, and I don't support it taking him longer to build these homes. Just to be blunt.
Have a half a dozen of these other examples of this kind of a project that has been done and is successful, so people could take a look at it and ask the tenants how it's doing. Because the ones I've seen in our neighborhood are sorry losers. And I say that because this parking, double parking like that, That's a theoretical. Nobody can get in and out of the place without stumbling over each other. And, but anyway, it wouldn't hurt to point out, here's a, I mean, you didn't invent the wheel.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some other projects that we can put together in the neighborhood that have done the same sort of thing, that have tandem or tandem style, right, garage parking. So I'll definitely do that.
So, in my neighborhood, we have lots of long, deep lots, and in general, I support this kind of idea as well, especially because we need housing type in the downtown area of Provo that can support families, and 2,000 square feet, that's great, that's perfect. And with the ADU, that helps with being able to afford the mortgage. So I think this is a great idea. But again, like Maria said, there are things that I see that are a concern for me. I'd love to see you be able to develop in that back area. I think that 3, my personal opinion is I think that 3 is too many. You're driving into a parking lot. And yeah, I have concerns with the feel of the area and how it's going to attract and keep people there long term. It needs to be a pleasing place to live, and I feel like with that whole parking lot area, it's just too much.
Well, I just would say that the problem with that is that, like, the issue is not that he wants to build more parking, it's that the city is requiring him to build more parking. So I think, like, I don't know, you can't really have it both ways. Like, if we want really nice development, but we're requiring 2 spaces per unit, then he has to build a parking lot, you know? So I think, like, I don't know, I feel like the solution to that is not to not build, it's to, like, maybe we need to drop our minimum, like, our minimum required parking spaces might be a better solution.
And one of the reasons I did do the 3 is, I mean, and this is a problem and everything, but the construction costs are so crazy that just the 2, it like takes away a lot of the affordability really fast, right? So with the 3, there's actually lots that like people could afford. I mean, there's a few on the market right now that aren't stuck, just like stuffing a lot from the street over without putting in like the asphalt and stuff and taking it back is like 30,000 to 40,000, let alone all of this.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you're like, if you just did 2 lots, you're all of a sudden 80,000 per lot, but then you do the 3 and it's incrementally less. So it's a hard balancing act, right? And it gets tricky. I get that for sure.
Talking about affordability of Provo.
It's tough.
I like the idea of this, but I have concerns about the process. And was this meeting with this agenda item noticed to the immediate neighborhood?
So I can speak to that. So with the new district program, in the old program, the developer would have to notice everyone within a certain number of feet. In the new program, that was taken out of the city code. The developer does not have to notice people.
Huge mistake.
And so what they decided was, since the meetings are set, everyone in Provo was given a notice of when the meetings would be, a little flyer with the calendar on there that you would know when your district meeting would happen. And so that's something you can discuss with the board if you would like the board to give out notice before meetings, but the developer no longer has to. Oh, Aaron?
And I might just add to that, this isn't scheduled on a commission yet, but when it is, that happens. So everything within 500 feet of the property is given a postcard in there. So it happens at the planning commission level.
Twice.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the initial feedback,
This is
right? And then
very preliminary. So first you have your neighborhood meeting. Second, it goes to planning commission, and that's when they put up the big yellow sign. That's when everyone gets the postcard. Third, it goes to city council. There's 3 chances of you to give your opinion, your input your public comment. So this isn't if what you do in your opinion poll here is what happens. This is purely very beginning of the process. He's just kind of letting the neighborhood know what he's thinking of doing. The decision-making actually happens later on.
Thank you.
Again, I'm a lot in the vote of folks who are, who want more housing and that kind of thing. So I think this is a really great idea. I've been since almost the beginning, just looking on like Street View on Google Maps, and I see large trees and that kind of thing. Can we see the landscaping one more time?
Yeah, so that's one thing on the landscaping plan that my landscape architect hasn't done yet. There's an amazing chestnut tree right here that will stay.
Cool.
Before we moved in, there was like another one. Unfortunately, that one got kicked out before we did, but the large chestnut tree with the spiky balls that you don't want to walk outside on your feet, that one stays, so.
Cool. Especially when it comes to, somebody mentioned like it being a place where people want to live and that kind of thing. Obviously, big mature trees definitely help, and I would say keep as many as you can.
Yeah, I mean, they planted some new in the backyard, the previous owner did, that are just still little sucklings, but that one big one, we're planning on keeping. So.
Now, where are the garbage cans? Are they the people? If you don't have room for your garbage, you're not living in this world.
And the next time I'll put a little garbage can on the side. So
No,
see that.
you're talking about people's lives here, and little kids want to play in the yard.
I mean, there's like, there's some sidewalk spots that are meant for like storing trash cans. So on the sides here, there will be some spots for trash cans to be stored. And then there's obviously walkways that they can roll them all the way out to the stream.
I actually have one more question. You said it would be an HOA, so how does that work? How does that how is durability set up for an HOA? How is it guaranteed that it will be for a long time? What is that?
Yeah, so that's something I'll get into probably in the development agreement, and Aaron can probably speak to it better than I can, but.
So so say this went to planning commission, city council was approved, the zone change was approved. He would come back with a couple applications, so a project plan application and a subdivision application. In that subdivision application, he'd have to establish CC&R's code covenants and restrictions for the common areas of the development. And assign a HOA president to maintain that, and that would run with the land.
Maybe this is for Aaron. The downtown area, the central area has had accessory apartments for many years now. And talking about rentals and I applaud your desire to help with owner occupancy and I think that's great. And that's one of the reasons why I've been pushing ADUs across the city. But I think all of us probably had experience with those ADUs becoming de facto duplexes because the enforcement is not well, it's not I've talked about it for a while, but it's not there's no real risk. So if you can feel like it's not something that they actually have to worry about. That's been something that we've worked on as a council and whatnot, and I think we were making good steps towards improving that. But I haven't been on the council for a year now, and so I don't know how that has gone on. I know there's several of us that would feel much more comfortable with the accessory apartments if there was some evidence that we were getting better as a city in enforcing that. So I don't know if that's something that can be addressed now or later, but.
Yeah, well, I would say that on a proposal like this, where we're with the ADUs built in, then that would certainly be on staff radar. So it would be much more difficult for this to slip into that quiet underground duplex type of thing, where we have most of those problems tend to be houses that we've never known to actually have an accessory apartment where people have kind of done that quietly, or it was an extra living space for an older person, and so the building was changed, but we didn't have anything on record that changed it. With this is on our radar from the beginning.
Right, and enforcement is always, it's always a difficult thing for the zoning enforcement staff to do, right? There's 6 of them, right? There's 6 enforcement officers in the city. They work off only complaints. They don't go door knocking door to door. So it depends. It has to be your neighbors ratting you out. A lot of people don't want to do that. And like you said, when they are reported, the investigation can lead to people lying. If they know the rules, they'll say the right things, and zoning enforcement goes away. So it's an ongoing issue. It's gotten a lot better in the past couple of years. Scott Johnson, who's heading that department, is doing a good job getting the numbers up and getting compliance. But again, it just depends on people complaining though.
Yeah, and I'd be curious, people in this room, how many have experiences where things have been reported and still not resolved, whether that's through line or some, anyway. But that, again, that makes it harder to look at this and get it. I wish I had more confidence in enforcement, and I wish I had more confidence that these could be built and would remain owner occupied. That would go a long way to resolving my.
I think probably one of the nice things to kind of the point earlier is there will be like an HOA that also spells that out. So then the 3 of them will, or 4 of them, right, will turn on each other.
So you're gonna put in the CCNRs that has to be owner occupied?
Well, that has to be in the
It can be.
CCNR based on the city.
It's an easier process than it is for the city to do the enforcement. Because we're a government entity, possibly taking away property rights for somebody, that we have to jump through lots and lots of hoops on that.
Yeah.
Whereas private contracts, they could just go to regular courts.
Hey, Dave, connect. There was a comment that the HOAs can be effective at enforcing owner occupancy. And I agree that it can be. I just want to say that what I've been told over the history of Provo, HOAs have not been particularly effective at maintaining owner occupancy rules.
I would say that's probably the reality. There's ways it can happen, but if they're meticulous and stick to their guns, maybe they could enforce it,
But is it better than not having one? Yes.
Yeah, because then you've got
So,
different mechanisms. You've got
I can't make him have
private
a
city fund.
HOA or not. I don't understand what I'm even here to talk about, to be blunt.
Yeah. Should we vote on this, or do you want to continue discussing? it,
Laura,
or should we go
what
home?
do you want to do?
But there's not really anything to vote on. If we're just.
It's an opinion poll. It's an opinion poll. It's not a vote. It's just, do you like the project? Do you not like the project? It's just so that the chair can go to the meeting and let planning commission know what was the feeling at this meeting.
Oh, man, what, it feels like kind of a tough call. I know that there are kind of, there are just varying voices. Should we take like a, oh, go ahead.
Not to do a poll. If you don't want to, you can just state what people's feelings were about the project and what their concerns were. That instead, it's up to you, Laura. It's up to what you want to report to the planning commission.
Okay, I think that works. I think that we have a lot of really good comments that I can go to them with, and I appreciate everyone voicing them.
And Soraya's been writing everything down. And we do have a recording of the meeting.
Awesome.
So how are you feeling? Oh, we got another comment here.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, because, there's been a lot of saying like, oh, this is good. However, and I just want to say, as somebody who's, one of the younger people here, Provo is insanely, like the entire America is unaffordable for housing, right? And so what he's trying to do is try and make affordable housing. You can say that, oh, it might not work because of this or because of that. I mean, at least like the trying of making affordable housing reality in this country is something that, you know, freaking awesome. Thank you. I'm like, as a young person trying to find a house here, you know, it's disgusting. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, so that's.
Yeah, if we say no to this, we're saying no to the future.
Yeah.
That's actually what we're saying no to.
Yeah, you're saying no, your kids, your grandkids, like.
I think there'll always be reasons to say no, but it's just when does that saying no, because we need to fix this, and fix that, become counterproductive and just destroy progress?
Right. And keep in mind, you saying yes or no, it's not gonna affect his project.
Oh, no, I want to.
So-
And it doesn't mean I want to live in, I'm not saying that we want to live in these, but I may not like the type of tree, but that doesn't matter, it's not my house.
My property, I don't know why. I'm sorry.
I appreciate your comments, I really do, and I'm not saying anything against
Oh, you're good,
your
you're good.
perspective. But just having lived just in the Mazer neighborhood for as many years as I have, one of the issues that I've seen a lot over the years is, you know, we get somebody who comes in, lives in a place, an owner, for a short while, you know, whether it's a couple years, up to 10 years, but then they move, but they don't sell their house, they rent it. And so I don't think Mazer neighborhood has ever seen like over 30% ownership. It's like 30% or below ownership and 70% plus rental. And so I think that, you know, for me, I can only speak for myself, you know, and we have an ADU in our house. But I think that a lot of people will start out with really great intentions, but then something happens, you know, they'll get a job elsewhere, or, you know, mom and dad have bad health and they need to move in with them or something. And so, you know, great intentions sometimes go awry. And this is a great town for renting. And so, you know, people don't start out thinking, oh, I'm gonna rent this house, but things happen. And so I think that it's good to have that thought, you know, in the back of your head, that what if, and it's good to have things to ordinances or whatever, HOAs, that can help prevent that. We're not gonna eradicate all rentals. We shouldn't eradicate all rentals. We need them.
I just figured if they didn't have ADUs, there was like 100% chance that they're rentals
Right.
with them. I mean, there's at least things in place to try to stop that, right?
Exactly.
Whereas without the ADUs, you can almost guarantee
Exactly.
that they're
Yeah.
rentals, right?
Yeah.
Another block from my home, there's a relatively new home. And it had an auxiliary apartment in it. And I've talked to the city at least a half a dozen times. It's never been owner occupied. And apparently the city cannot enforce it or it will, whatever the reason. I suggest it's probably as much willpower. But to expect these to be owner occupied is like expecting, you know, everybody to get calculus before they get out of high school. Ain't gonna happen. And that's look around our neighborhood. It's
a hard
put another 600 apartments within a couple of blocks of each other. And people don't have a place to walk their dog, so they take them to the churchyard. And it's stacked with food, you know. Where are you gonna walk the dog in this yard?
I mean, there's the backyard's like 100, almost 110 feet long. And
Okay,
20
I mean, that little place in the back, that's a good deal.
yeah, this is like, I think 25 feet it says, and then it's 105 feet, and that's all comments.
Yeah, well, it's, no, at any rate, what I'm saying is, don't expect, we shouldn't as neighbors expect the city to enforce that. It hasn't happened, and I don't expect it will in the future. And like Maria said, 70% of our neighborhood is not owned by anybody even living in town. There are a few people that own apartments that actually live in the neighborhood, and that's a relief for safety traffic.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt. The district chair says that this has been discussed enough. We have a lot of comments, which Soraya will type up on that. We appreciate
Thank
you
you guys very
coming
much.
out and showing us your project. Thank you so much, but the chair wants us to move on to our last item.
You can give a skull.
I am, hang on, I just need to share this screen real quick. Okay,
Okay, we'll make this really quick. So we are currently updating the downtown master plan. And downtown, just so you know, when you think of downtown, you may not think of this entire area, but it goes all the way from the freeway over to the about Second East, down by just north of the mall, up to the Fifth Library. To give you the context of where downtown neighborhood plan is. Next slide. Some updates that have happened since this plan was done. We've increased the population in this neighborhood, over 2,000 people. And we've added additional 900 plus units in the downtown area. What else has happened? Growth. We've had tons of growth like you just saw. We also just adopted the new general plan. And so this plan, all neighborhood plans should reflect the, we've heard of the general plan. So we're updating this plan to reflect those changes. What have we done so far? We've done open houses. We had an open house at the rec center last year. We had an open, we had a booth at the farmers market. We had this online survey. We got over 500 respondents on that survey. Tons of people we talked to at the farmers market, as you can see. You're through there. And it was really great public outreach. A lot of the responses we got were saying, people like downtown, we're doing a good job, keep moving forward. New development, all these are new developments that have happened since this plan was done. Since these zones kind of talk about how we want downtown to grow and whatnot, varying from office space, mixed use, multifamily and government buildings. So why am I here? Now what? So this plan has been currently going through the review process. It will be available on Open City Hall shortly, not yet. We're still working on refining some things. Once it's available on Open City Hall, you'll be able to review that, add any comments for that. It has already gone to Planning Commission for a study session item, and shortly, hopefully on not the 8th, but it'll probably be the 2 weeks after that, which I can't do math in my head, but it will be the second meeting in March when it goes to Planning Commission. So if you have any comments on the draft, it'll be on Open City Hall soon. Otherwise, on the next slide, if you have any questions, you can contact me. So. Yep.
okay, Laura, we've completed our agenda. Did you want to close the meeting?
Let's close the meeting. Thank you all.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.